Good morning, folks. This is Dan Sullivan, one of the founders of Rad Engineering, and the other founder and my friend Justin is behind the camera.
Hello.
And we are here to talk about investing, but really we're talking about investing in yourself. One of the things right now we're trying to do is raise funds, raise capital for our business. But we know a lot of people out there are like, I can't, I don't trust you guys, we don't know you guys or something. We get that. But there's a way you can invest in us and invest in yourself without taking the same risk. And it's going to sound a bit weird, but you're going to have to follow me through this process. Right now, if you had $10,000 and you want to go buy silver or gold, physical silver or physical gold, you might be able to find it, but you're going to be paying a premium, okay? And it's not the number they publish, on Wall Street. No, it's a much bigger number because that's how crony and broken the financial system is. But if you wanted to buy several radios, for example, like a yaesu FT891, I think currently it's costing about
$683 shipped to the front door.
Yeah. So let's call it $700, okay? If you bought 10 of those, I believe, and Justin believes, that within a few months, at most a year, you'll probably get 10 times your value. Notice I didn't say 10 times much in money because probably in that scenario, we're talking about severe inflation.
Severe.
But let's say you can get one FT891 for what would be half the value, roughly, a little less than half the value of a 1 ounce gold coin. What this means in real terms, if we're right, is, that, let's say you bought two radios, let's say maybe even three radios for that price, because I think you could. You bought three radios for one ounce gold coin. Today's price is around $2,000, plus or minus. I haven't been keeping track of the crony economic system for my own personal reasons. You take one gold coin today and you buy those three radios. I think that's at least 10, 20, 30, maybe 100 gold coins in the future. And that may sound crazy, like, oh, how is that possible? Well, you'll still be able to get gold a year from now, but you might not be able to get these radios because they're made in other countries. They're made in other places for the most part. Yeah, there's maybe a little bit of domestic activity when it comes to radio production, but the reality is the radios you can buy today, they're made someplace else. Isn't that true, Justin?
Yes.
And there's a pretty good chance that none of that's going to get delivered.
I would recommend looking up the story about icom, a big radio manufacturer out of Japan, and they're missing containers.
Yeah.
Missing, gone, disappeared.
Accidental. I mean, it's really funny. Back in the 90s when I was in the Army, I was working on a logistics project. It was a tracking project. It was one of the first GPS tracking projects that the Army worked on. And one of the reasons why they promoted this is because, well, Lieutenant Dan, this is going to help us make sure we don't lose stuff. And then there's all this RFID crap for the last 20 years. Well, we're going to put RFIDs and everything so we don't lose stuff. But ever since the monkey herpes Rona COVID thing started, the race war, whatever you want to call it, they've come up with all kinds of interesting excuses as to why they can't deliver stuff. Isn't that, it's always something new. A container was lost. They can't find people to unload containers. It's the Russians. It's the hackers. Every day there's a new explanation. Oh, the truckers. The truckers are keeping us from getting our stuff. Brothers and sisters, I don't know the truth. You don't know the truth. But a lot of it looks like piss poor excuses. What Justin and I are telling you is that if you're interested in investing at this point, yes, you can go buy physical gold and silver. I get it. I mean, I would do that if I had money right now. But the next best thing to do would be to buy these radios and keep them safely in your basement. Keep them safely someplace you have them. I believe with near certainty, barring nuclear war, that those radios will be worth 10 times that amount in real value within a year. Is that a fair statement?
I would say that with no promises to anybody, but I believe it myself.
I believe it.
I believe it.
And the reason is really quite simple. It's supply and demand. There will be people who will want these radios and they won't be able to get them.
Not to mention the FOMO that we are creating with this project.
That's right.
I mean, let's not talk about that. I don't want to go off on any tangents. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, here's a list of radios, and I'll try to make sure we include the list in the notes. But here's some radios that we think you can still buy. And these are radios that will be useful with what we're working on with the rad terminal project. And these will simply be worth more money in a world where people can't get them.
As cheap as $160 right now, folks. $160 gets you in the game. Skin in the game for $160.
Yeah. The yaesu FT891. I think we said that was about
$700.
A good radio, and a radio, if you can get it, if you can afford to. We're not telling you to spend money you don't have, by the way. If you don't have the money, we're not crypto doofuses. Like my friend Justin said, I believe it's going to be worth 10 times its value in a year. But you know what? I don't think it's going to lose any value at this point. I think that's a near certainty.
Yes.
A near certainty that if you buy these, they will still be worth at least what they're worth today in real value. Not inflated value, not magical, Jerome Powell, he printed money, grr money. No, real value, they'll keep their value, and probably more. A crypto person will tell you, well, the crypto is going to just go up and up and up and up and up and up forever. I mean, that's what cancer does. We're not going to lie to you. But what I am telling you is I believe a year from now, these radios will be worth 10 times their amount in value. But what I am certain of is that they won't lose their value. Another one is the icom 705. I don't know what the price is on that.
That's pretty spendy. It's $1,300.
$1,300. But that is a fully, so far the yaesu and the icom, these are fully functioning ham radios.
Yeah. And they're different. You need to understand what you're buying. If you have questions, the IC105 is a very different radio than the yaesu FT891.
Right.
It's a great radio. It's a great for what we're doing, but it is lower power. So, these are things to keep in mind.
There's the icom 7300. Is that the one you have?
That's this one right here. That's this radio right here. This is the yaesu. This is the icom. So there's a size difference. They do the same things, folks. They're the same radio. They do the same things. They'll send out the same digital signals. So they'll all work. They work differently.
Yeah. The President Lincoln 2. Is that it?
Yeah, the 2 Plus.
The 2 Plus.
That is going to run you. I think those prices are going up. $250 neighborhood. Right. Great little radio. It's going to work on 10, 11, and 12 meters, and it does FM. It is a radio that a lot of people are going to can afford, and it's going to be very functional for them.
That's right. The Bearcat 980 SSB.
Now this is more like a traditional CB radio. That's the 160. Again, that one was unobtainium for about a year. You couldn't get that radio. They're now back in stock. They're more expensive than they were.
Are they, with the prices, are they still under 200?
Yeah, under 200.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for under 200, you can get a radio that you can connect to a Raspberry Pi, use JS8 like we've talked about, and set up your own rad terminal, basically.
It will not grow into FM.
It won't grow into FM, and that's not good or bad. Listen, we're not on, slightly off topic. Our philosophy at Rad Engineering is we're not leaving people behind. We're not going to deliberately make something obsolete if it still works. This is something that Apple, Microsoft, these people love to do. They love to hand you a device of, oh, this phone is so great. The problem is they build into that device technology that will ruin the phone within a few years. These radios will work. There's no government kill switch. They can't turn them off. Can't say that about the internet. Can't say that about the cell phone networks. But I can tell you, other than jamming, they can't turn off the airwaves. It's why radio's stuck around, because it simply works. To continue, the next one on the list is the Stryker. That's that 955.
It's either the 959 or 995.
Okay.
But again, it's the Stryker radio with the single sideband, and again, it has the FM mode. I can't tell you the price. I know these are a little bit more spendy. They're higher power than, say, the Lincoln. They're good radios. I've never used one, and I'm not that familiar with them. But I know how to make those work with what we're doing.
And is it fair to say, Justin, that as long as it has single sideband, that as long as that CB has single sideband, it will be useful for the RAD terminal project?
Correct. And these can include the Cobra 2000. That's a 40, 50-year-old radio at this point. There's a lot of radios out there. The Cobra 148 GTL, that's a sideband radio. All these are old radios. The work, let me throw this out there. Don't recommend buying radios on eBay. I would buy this new stuff. Is like I said, especially with the FM, we're moving into WinLink. We're not there yet. It's a FM mode, and it's very high rate of data transmission. So it's more local, but that's where we're going. So consider, these spending a little bit more money on a radio than old used sideband radio.
Exactly. If you need a higher rate of transmission, with what we're doing right now, we're able to do, and again, this isn't very fast for people who need to play online gaming, but we're able to do reliably 50 characters a minute, and we're pretty certain we'll get up to 100. Now, for purposes of gaming online, that ain't going to help you, but for purposes of contacting a loved one in a disaster area, that's perfect. It will work, and it will be fast and reliable. So another thing I want to mention too, Justin, listen, part of this process of investing in yourself, using the radio, for example, is understanding value. Well, believe it or not, another way you can attack this problem is by looking for and buying older, functional, and in some cases non-functional, you don't want to pay as much, CB radios that can work with the system. And the reason why I say this is these older radios have a different component architecture, which also means that theoretically you can repair them. A lot of newer stuff is wonderful, but it has very difficult architecture to work with if you have to repair it.
Very, very small components.
Exactly. These older systems, which will still work with the rad terminal as long as they have single sideband, these older systems, older ham radios and stuff, and even older receivers, if all you want to do is tune into our network and get the digital downloads, these older systems will work, but what's more important, they contain what you could call the Rosetta Stone, or the Holy Grail, the way in which we can keep this going if supply chains fall apart. Again, nobody wants that to happen, but it looks like it's starting to happen. So I don't know how much time we have left. I think we're pretty close to time right now, so I'm going to close this out. There is a way you can invest in us by investing with us. You don't have to give us any money. You take the list of radios that we have in the comments, take the discussion, do the research. Remember, you need to have single sideband if you want it to work with our network digitally. But I'll be honest with you, I think radios themselves will be worth a lot more money in a few months, and I'm fairly certain, like almost 100%, that they're not going to lose their value. No one currently in the crony system is delivering what could be done. So if you're worried about, well, what if they deliver something even better than what you have? No, they're not. They're going to give you a crony smart device and plug you into their network, but they're not going to allow you to be free.
Stay on the reservation.
Yeah. So anywho, this is Dan Sullivan and my friend Justin. And if you have the money, and you want to do some investment that's a little bit outside the box, we recommend you find some of these radios that are available and you buy as many as you can afford.
All right.